Hello? Hello again, plant friends, and welcome back. If it's your first time here, welcome. If you don't mind taking a moment, hitting that subscribe button and liking this video, it really does help a lot. So let's get into this video. A lot of you already know I am a high school teacher, and as such, with the school year beginning, I don't have a ton of extra time on my hands. So I thought I would talk today about some of my easiest care houseplants, the ones that I can kind of maybe ignore if I come home late from work one day. Maybe they can go an extra day without water. Some of these plants I think you'll recognize. They're fairly well known as easy care houseplants, but some of them might come as a surprise to you. So without further ado, let's get into the plants. So my first houseplant probably won't come as any surprise to you, but it's such a wonderful plant, such an easy one to care for. I had to put it on my list. It's my ZZ plant. These plants are just wonderful. They sit where you put them. They just chill, like so easy to care for. It's just one of my favorites. And look at how beautiful these leaves are. They're big, they're glossy. This one actually sits in my entryway, which is a little bit lower light, and it can handle that perfectly well. And it's such a nice plant to just greet me when I come in from my garage. First thing when I get home, this is the one that I see, and I just love it. If I could keep one house plant that I just didn't have to pay attention to, I think this one would be it. So, plant number one, the ZZ plant. Plant number two probably also won't come as any surprise to you, and maybe you can see it poking up here. You might recognize it from my plant haul video, my plant shopping video, which I'll link to in the description below. But it's my neon pothos. I have several pothos that actually sit up above my kitchen cabinets, which you can see in my houseplant tour. But this one is such an easy care plant. Again, not really any surprise, but what a bang for your buck. You just let it sit where it's gonna be. It just grows, puts out new leaves, and especially the neon pothos, such a beautiful, beautiful color, just a little bright neon pop as you place it wherever you're going to decorate with it. So plant number two, pothos, any variety, but in my house, neon pothos for sure. So plant number three is one that I've had for a while. Super easy to care for. I just kind of have it sitting on my counter. I water it, it grows. I swear every time I walk by, it's popping out new leaves. And in fact, you can see a couple of them popping out right now. This one is my red Maranta. So some of you may have seen in some of my videos that not all of my prayer plant Calathea family are doing so hot all the time. It's definitely a drier climate here, and sometimes they tend to get those crispy leaves, suffering a little bit from the lack of humidity. But this one has just been an easy grow for me, easy to take care of. You see a little bit of crisping here around the edges, but nothing too bad, and a lot of that actually are the old leaves. All the new ones that are coming in are big and beautiful. So if you're looking for something in that Calathea family that's a little bit easier to care for, the Maranta, the prayer plant, is such an easy one to care for, and it just grows like you wouldn't believe. So try out the prayer plant. The next plant on my list kind of goes along with the pothos, but it's a distinct plant. If you're looking for something that has a little bit of velvet to it, the Philodendron Micans is another really easy one to take care of. This one was a little bit in rough shape when it got to me, and I'll link to the video where I unbox this below. But the Philodendron Micans is such a gorgeous plant. I'm a sucker for these velvety leaves, and it's got kind of that like bronze shimmer to it. A beautiful one. Again, just kind of sits up on top of my kitchen cabinets. I get up and water it once a week, maybe not even that, and it's just putting out new leaves like you wouldn't believe. So another really easy care plant, especially if you want something that's maybe a little bit more fancy than your basic pothos. The Philodendron Micans is a wonderful choice. All right, the next plant is a super slow grower, but also such an easy care one. This one is my Ficus Elastica. This is the Tineke variety, the variegated one. I love these leaves. I've had this one probably since March, April, somewhere in there, and it's only put out one new leaf in that time, but you can see it's turning pink right in here, which means another leaf is about to come out, which is awesome. So I'm super excited. This is a slow grower for me, but also has not struggled, has not been finicky at all. It just kind of sits here in my plant room and does what it's gonna do, and I water it. So another really easy care, not gonna get finicky on you. Try the Ficus Elastica, any variety, but the Tineke I happen to like for its beautiful variegation. The next plant that I have for you is the Hoya, just any general Hoya for the most part. I find the ones with the thicker leaves tend to have a little bit more of that succulent nature. Don't need to be watered quite as often. I do have the Australis and the Bella that have a little bit thinner leaves. The Australis is right here. You can see a little bit thinner leaves. So it does need a little bit more attention to watering, but still very easy care. I think my Hoyas are probably some of the easiest care houseplants that I have. I just kind of water them about once a week, checking them maybe a little bit more frequently than that. But they have just been growing for me, and you stick them in a sunny spot and they just grow. So I highly recommend almost any variety of Hoya. Again, you have to be a little careful. Some of them might be a little bit more finicky, but for me, Hoyas have been such an easy care and such a fast growing plant. I love Hoyas so much. Another one of my most easy care houseplants is behind me here, this beautiful Monstera Deliciosa. This one just sits here in my plant room. I water it when it needs it. It's always putting out these big, beautiful new leaves. I can't wait till it starts getting even bigger with the double fenestration in it. But this one has been such an easy care for me. I just check it maybe once a week. I probably water it maybe every 10 days or so. I don't necessarily water it once a week, but I've had zero issues with it. It's not drying out. It's not getting crispy. It's not wilty. It just sits, and it is. And I love that in a houseplant when I get super busy. It's such a relief to just have one plant that you know is going to survive it all, and for me, the Monstera Deliciosa is one of those plants. And the last plant that I have for you, let me dive over here and get it. It's a monster. This is my Alocasia Ivory Coast. So the reason I know this is an easy care house plant is this one has been in my house for a couple years before I even started getting into houseplant and houseplant care. This baby survived my just kind of watering it whenever I thought about it. It was stuck in a probably less than ideal spot. I had no idea what humidity it needed, what kind of care it needed, and it survived. I'm not going to say it was thriving, because it has certainly been putting out giant leaves since I've actually paid attention to what it wants, but it was surviving. It could take a little bit of neglect, and it didn't get finicky and die on me, which is impressive for pre-houseplant care me. And I've actually found most of my Alocasias tends to be pretty easy care. I just kind of water them whenever. They're not particularly finicky like some of my Calatheas are about when they're watered. They're not shriveling up, but this one in particular wins an award for being able to survive maybe less than ideal care. So if you can get your hands on an Alocasia Ivory Coast, it's gorgeous, big, beautiful leaves, and this beautiful stem in here with the variegation on it. This one for sure has a special place in my heart, and just look at how big and beautiful it is. So that pretty much concludes my video on my easy care houseplants. I'd love to know in the comments below what houseplants you have that are easy care, and maybe some that aren't on your normal list, like the ZZ plant and the Pothos. What do you have that maybe you find is a little bit easier to care for and can withstand a little bit of abuse, a little bit of neglect? So thank you so much, guys, for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.